Welcome back, everyone. Mark with Grimtastic Baits, and this is part 2 of making the Red Belly Dace. Left you off last. We had put a pattern on a stencil that we've made, and now we need to cut that out. And we need to do that on 3 different pieces. What I've chose for it is this little hooked razor blade on the solder iron, heat gun, wood burner, whatever you want to call it. What I want to do is I want to work on this from the outside, because otherwise it's going to leave a lip on the inside that I would need to sand down. I'll probably still sand it down on the side, but it's just a lot cleaner when you're doing these, especially when it's time to airbrush. So I'm going to see how careful I can be. Cutting this exact pattern. The gun may not be warmed up quite enough yet. It should just slide right through this like butter, but I'm gonna make it work. There, it's starting to slide. All right. So it looks a lot like that now. If I wanted to, I'm going to break my own rule. I want to make sure that all that all the way up there. That is the first stencil done. You can remove the tape. Not that you need to, but. And then I'm going to do a little bit of sanding in there just to smooth it out. And that would be the bottom portion, the red area that we're going to be shooting with the airbrush. Still allowing this part to all be that gold or yellow color. All right, now for the stripes, I've chosen this really sharp, smoking hot, as you can see, little tip. And what I'm going to attempt to do is stay as close. I'm just going to run it back and forth several times until it starts melting. I just want the thinnest, slightest. I'm barely even touching this thing. I might not have been in the camera while doing that. Now that I've got that in there, I'm just going to take sandpaper and then run that really lightly on the inside of that line that I just cut. I'm going to do the same for this. And I think it looks like I'm all the way through on that too. Sorry. So I'll do that the other one, sand them down, and I'll show you what the results look like. Time to make some magic happen, at least the first part of it. So I'm going to be using the Lureworks Blood Red 5803. This is the stuff that's water-based. WB is the definition on it, I believe, but It's not that stuff that's gonna burn your lungs out like the clear coat is. So we are going to add that in there. And I'm gonna set that to the side. Grab the first stencil I want to use. Do this. So just like described, I'm going to set it right there, hold it in place. Now you can see that's exactly where I'm going to be painting. Color going. I'm at about 30 psi. And I may even crank that up. Yeah, I'm gonna crank that up. Nice and dark red. So voila, that's the first part. There's a nice little red stripe, and you see it kind of fades into the tail, or not red stripe, but the belly, the red part that changes colors in the period of time when they're spawning, so to speak. So my only concern now is how will that black stripe one line up to that? If it's off a little bit, I guess it's off a little bit, but that's what we're going with. So I've got, well, about 35 more of these to do on just one side. Once I get that done, I'll show you when we switch sides here, and we'll go from there. And it looks like I need to take care of a little flashing on this. It drives me nuts. Let's just, yeah, I'm gonna have to take care of that flashing on that fin. Stencil on the first side. Got the results I was looking for. So now we're going to use the other side. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Lay it in place, roll it over. That pressure's a little high. And I'm going to redo that little tail there. Your little trick. I shouldn't say if, but when you mess up, when you're using these paints, if you take a little bit of isopropyl, before my air compressor so rudely kicked in, sorry about that. I was going to say isopropyl alcohol will take and just remove that stuff right off. You can use water if you get to it quick enough, but if it's sat for a minute, then you're going to want to use the isopropyl. So anyway, put that in place, roll it over. Give it a quick shot. And voila. Again, okay, I have to figure out what the stencil's doing here. It's kind of creeping up. The black line should cover that up, but it's going to kind of drive me nuts. How about some light? Okay. Next up, Lureworks. Lureworks. Work on your labels. It's Lureworks black. Like you can't tell. I'll be honest, this is the part that's going to be make or break and I'm most concerned about, because I am relying on this stencil to line up with the red and to look good. So, gonna line that bad boy up. I'm gonna be real careful about looking in here. You probably can't see on the camera. Make sure I see a little bit of the red right in there for when I spray. But this is gonna be nerve-wracking. This will be kind of a make or break here. That was quick, wasn't it? I liked this to be a little more, but at the same time, that is kind of how it looks. It's a very thin line, kind of modeled. That didn't line up quite perfect, but I am going to try another one just to see. This one is just, like I say, it's going to be a pain to get this one perfect every time. Let's see how we did this time. Well, the red should have been down a little further. I'm not sure if I can clean that up with alcohol or not. I may try and touch some of these up with just the tiniest little paintbrush and some alcohol. Try and get the red off of there and go that route. But if I could get that red off that top portion, I'd say we're looking pretty good. We're going to continue from there. So I'm trying to get this to balance, and it's not wanting to. Here, how about this? All right. The original stencil wasn't working very well, so I opted for the old piece of tape layered up over and over and over, cut out 2 different size drill bits, one smaller than the bigger one up at the front, of course smaller, duh, bigger. Anyway, and I'm using that to lay it across. I already sprayed the red, as you can see. Lay it across here. I line it up just so that I can see the red, so that it blends and meshes. I give it a real good healthy coat, and then you got your black stripe. So I'm thinking this is the route I'm going with the rest of them, because it's just working better. The other stencil was just, I don't know, it looked rough. I didn't like it. So I decided to forego that direction and go this way out. And honestly, I think this looks better anyway. I mean, really. Next dilemma, I know how I said I was going to put that small stripe in the top to make it the 2 stripes. I tried that too, and it just really detracted from the bait big time. It didn't flow. It didn't look good, and it's such a tiny, minuscule little black line across the top. I'm not going to bother with it. I think it'll ruin the bait, and let's be honest, the fish probably don't care. So my next thought is that little eye. Do I color in the eye using this little tape stencil I made? As you can see, it's not perfectly circle, and I don't like that. I might redo this stencil altogether, or find out if I have a stencil that's about that size. Do a yellow eye and then put a black pupil in it, or am I overdoing it? That's what I have to figure out after I get these lines painted. We now have all of our lovely little baits laid out, and for some reason they almost look like they're lime in this light. I don't know why the heck that is. But anyway, the part I despise more than any other part, SB, solvent-based coating, clear coat. You gotta put this on. You've probably seen videos where I've done this before. You gotta put this on if you use the water base, or this stuff will rub right off. This is what protects it. This is what seals it. This is nasty as sin, though, when it comes to fumes, chemicals, all that good stuff. So I am going to not talk. I am going to mask up and play Breaking Bad or whatever you want to say. Maybe you'll only talk like Brain a little bit. But I'm going to fill up the paintbrush, airbrush, and give this thing a quick shot. Going at 40 psi. I like to go a little higher on this. I really like to get a good thick coat on these. Oh, that stuff is strong. Right off the bat, we got problems. Woo! Okay. Let me turn on the fan and I'll get back to you. Okay, it's a lot better than it was. Sorry about the fan running. It's almost a necessity. Now you can see, even though you're spraying clear, I like to spray it on something with a background so I can see that I'm actually getting it coated. You can see all the white outlines, and that is from this spider webbing effect that this stuff does. If you ever want to do like a fake spider web haunted house, who knows what, this is the stuff for it, because it just spider webs everywhere. Another thing I hate about using this stuff, but it works really, really well. So once these have dried off, which only takes a few minutes, I'm going to roll those over and I'll do the second side, but I will spare you that little adventure. Just going to flip them over and hit them on the other side. Bagging time. Just a couple drops, the old, good old smelling pig pen bacon. How I do this, just an old KFC container that I cleaned out. All right, so what is wrong with people these days? I'm standing here recording, garage door open, some guy walks his dog clear up to almost the entrance to my garage door, lets his dog take a crap and sits there and cleans it up. Now the wifey's home. All right, let's try this a third time. There's no wives wandering in and out. Nobody letting their dog take a crap up in the front of my driveway into my yard. There's no old man bending over to pick up the crap. So anyway, here's how I bag these. I just grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Grab them by the tail and drop them in. And then I just let the worm oil do its work to get them kind of organized. I put them head first because the crease of the plastic is down at the bottom and the heads are thicker. So in my mind, I guess, what that does is it keeps pressure off the tails. If the tails were down there towards the bottom, sorry, I don't even have you in focus around the camera. If the tails were down towards the bottom, I'm afraid they would get squished up really bad. So that is how I package those. So thanks for sitting with me through part 2 and part 1 if you watched that also. These are heading out to Canada, believe it or not. I've never done an international order, kind of shied away from it, simply because a lot of times the shipping is worth more than the baits are by the time you do it. So anyway, I hope this guy appreciates it, guy or gal, I'm not sure. Anyway, hope they appreciate it. And as always, don't like, don't subscribe. I'm not your dad, I can't tell you what to do. But again, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.